Hello, BBC family and friends. Did you realize that the Bible talks about an appointed time to practice social distancing? You know, I'm not making this up. It really does teach that in the Bible. I'm going to show you that today in just a moment. But I want to just remind you of yesterday. We were looking at Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1. He says, "To everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under heaven." Now I want you to think about that verse for a moment, because we looked at a very important word. The word season is a Hebrew word that means an appointed season or an appointed time. And so what the Bible's teaching us here is that the Bible's teaching that God has appointed seasons and times in our lives. He's appointed all the events of our lives from the moment of our birth to our death. In verse 2, he goes on and he says, a time to be born and a time to die. And so God has appointed the time for us to be born, and he has appointed the time for us to die. You know, this talks about the overruling providence and sovereignty of God in our life. And so we can rest assured that God is still in control of our lives. You know, as we think about our birth and our death, these are the two most important moments in our life. And there's a lot that takes place between our birth and our death. And here in verse 2 through 8, he talks about a series of times and seasons that we go through that take place between our birth and our death. Now, you ask me, preacher, where is that in the Bible that says there's an appointed time to practice social distancing? Well, it's found in verse number 5, in that second phrase. He says a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Now this is talking about hugging. He's saying there's a time to hug and there's a time to refrain from hugging. So there it is. I told you it was in the Bible. And so God has appointed this season that we're in, this COVID-19 pandemic, when we've been asked by our president and by the governor of Texas to practice social distancing. Now we need to realize God's in control of all this, and God is going to use this for his glory. Now, how do I know that? How do I know that? How can we have hope that God's going to use this time and season in our life for good? Well, in verse number 11, he says he had made everything beautiful in his time. Now, he's going to take these seasons and these times that he's appointed in our lives, and it says here, he's going to make it beautiful, everything beautiful in its time. Isn't that a wonderful thought to think about? Pastor Bill Prater, he shared something on Facebook some time ago. He said God will use both the dark and the light when painting the picture of our life. And in order for the picture to be beautiful, it must include all of the tones, all of the colors, all of the depths of suffering, as well as joy. So I want you to think about that. God's going to use the light and the dark. He's going to use all the tones, all the colors, as he's painting the picture of our lives. And the end result is going to be beautiful. You know, we may not be able to see that picture yet, but one day when we get in glory, we're going to see the beautiful picture that God was painting in our life. And I want to assure you that the season that we're going through right now is temporary. It's going to pass. We're going to get through this with God's help. And so I want to leave you with this thought. Don't look at one snapshot of your life and believe that it's the whole story. I love you all, and I'm praying for you. May God bless you.